This month in January, we are reflecting on the career resources that you haven't used yet. We are hoping to kick off 2024 with an exploration of you and your career and how we can help. My name is Stephanie Swanger. I serve as director in the Center of Career and Professional Development, and I am pleased to introduce my colleagues who will be guiding us in a presentation and conversation about self and career exploration. First, we have Kim Meredith, who is our executive director in the Center for Career and Professional Development, and we also have with us Dr. Steve Brown, who is the senior associate director. And with that, I will turn it over to you all.
Thank you, Stephanie. This is an exciting topic. I love to start the new year. I think people are just in a time right now, as is classic beginning of the year, where they're thinking about what will be new for me this year, what will be different, what goals will I pursue, and how will I pursue them. So I'm excited to talk today about just that self-discovery piece and setting career goals, and with that doing the exploration that we know is so critical to the process. I'm thrilled that we have Dr. Steve Brown with us here today, and I hope that the three of us can just have a meaningful conversation that could be helpful to our Mercerians as they are delving into this topic. Dr. Brown, would you lead us in just giving your thoughts through your years of experience here at Mercer on self and career exploration and what that means?
Yeah, let me say that it's good to be a part of this and appreciate being included. Self and career exploration to me has been a part of the process, whether you're intentionally engaging in it or not. I think that so much of the early curriculum at Mercer is about the self. We have courses that are about the self, and students are seeking and discovering what's unique about themselves, and at some point intersecting with the idea that part of that exploration includes deciding about a career path. So I'm excited about this.
I just want to share with anybody that might view this recording later, just this Center for Career and Professional Development staff that are taking part in the conversation have years of experience serving Mercerians. And in that, I would add too that you guys, if you look at the three of us, we've all served all student types from all Mercer University locations, all degree levels from undergraduate to graduate programs, even PhD programs and professional programs. And I really hope, I know you'll agree with me that this topic is relevant to all students. Stephanie, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. When I think back even on my own exploration and my own career development, I always just want our students and our alumni to understand that exploration doesn't stop. This isn't something that is contained to your first or second year of college, and then once you're past that, you're done. I myself, experienced a career pivot almost 8 years ago when I decided it was time to explore a new passion of mine. And so that took some, introspection, it took some exploration, it took some networking with peers. And so whether you are in your, first year or you are a professional with 20 years of experience, exploration doesn't stop just because you've picked a major or you've graduated with a degree. It's really about that process of that constant self-reflection I tell my students all the time that I love my job and I love what I do. But if ever there came a time that I saw a pattern of not loving my job and not loving what I did, that I would take the time to reflect and make a pivot. And I encourage them to do the same. Whenever we work with students, they get this idea that they have to pick what they're doing forever. And I just want them to get past that. You're doing what you're being called to do at the moment. And we'll see how that builds into a larger career and how you can explore the use of your passions in the larger world of work.
Absolutely. And you know, Steve, you talked about students having maybe taken a course. I know lots of our faculty incorporate some exploration type questions, maybe for students to ponder in introductory level courses. Maybe, you know, getting students to just pause and think. But if you haven't necessarily had that incorporated into a course, or you haven't had time on your calendar yet to make an appointment with the Career Center, then maybe it's been a while since you've had this kind of thought process, or maybe it's time to just take an intentional pause. So for today's dialogue, I'm excited. We're going to get started. As you all know, we've prepared a few slides, and I hope that will just prompt further conversation that can be useful. So we'll get started with a few things. And so I really saw this quote. It's one I've seen a lot over the years from Steve Jobs. And this answers the question, why, to me. I included this because it's like interesting to think, well, why do I need to make time for ongoing introspection and self-exploration? Well, I love this quote because Steve Jobs says the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. I love the found it yet. How does this hit you?
I really like it. I would just say it really defines, as I mentioned a second ago, it really defines where I was about 9 years ago. I was in a career I loved within the higher education, but I was burned out. And my it had turned into a like and not a love anymore. And so I had to make that pivot. I had to say, okay, what benefits me now in my current development? What great skills can I take from one area of the university to another area of the university? How can I continue to hold on to the things that I like, but then pivot into something that was growing with me as I was growing? And so it's hard because there's a great part of you that wants to settle because you're comfortable. There's a great part of you that just wants to say, well, I've already been doing this for 10 plus years. If I make a change, I've got to start all over, I've got to learn, or I've got to be that person that doesn't have all the answers yet. And that's hard to put yourself in an uncomfortable place to challenge yourself to continue to find the great work that you love. But you should do it.
Yeah, I think that it is a constant searching mode that we're in, that you know, if we're going to do great work, we've got to love what we do. The idea that it's going to just fall into your lap is more passive than it needs to be. I think engaging in the process, you may discover that it was there all along. You just had not moved into the water yet to test the waters, to see if this is something that you would like.
I appreciate that comment just instantly, Steve, with test the waters, because what came to mind is maybe some pressure that students feel, especially if you're launching your career for the first time, to find what I love. because how do I know what that is? Because maybe I don't know what I love yet. And this kind of quote could actually prompt some stress and some pressure. And I understand that. I don't intend it to be pressure here. I thought rather that sort of sets us the conversation in terms of, well, how can we find something you love? But to your point, Steve, it's about testing the waters.
Yeah, keep looking, don't settle.
Yeah. So we're going to start and just make a point here to say, well, try things, take internships. And learning what you don't enjoy is just as important as learning what you do. Don't be discouraged by experiences that necessarily aren't what you love. But nonetheless, it seems like the pursuit is our why. How can I find something that I enjoy so that I can do great work in life? So these were just a few goals that that Steve and I developed for our talk today. Just to pause for some thoughtful pondering. I don't know about y'all. You know, my Outlook calendar tells me what to do every single hour of the day. And even when I leave work, I have responsibilities that also demand, you know, those evening hours. And students are, gosh, they're staying up late at night and have so many things on their plate. How do you pause for thoughtful pondering? You know, that's something in of itself. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times it's a decision or a process that we end up delaying or ignoring at some point. That this is an important decision, but that shouldn't scare us. It should challenge us to give time to something that we don't feel is going to be easy, or that we've tried it before and it didn't work. I think it's something that we need to engage with on an ongoing basis.
It might be a little like exercise where you just have to put it on the calendar and sort of drag yourself in to do it, because life is moving pretty fast lately. And I don't think that's going to change. But we'd love to talk today about the difference between self-exploration and career exploration. In the Career Center, we talk about those words and phrases often because it's what we do for a living. And I think we might assume students know what this means, but I'd like to talk about it a little bit today. Stephanie, just right off the bat, what comes to mind when you think about these things and what you want to share with Mercerians?
When I'm thinking about, you know, the work that we do with our students and then even the work that we do with ourselves, many times we, I say intertwine, I guess, our career as our self identity. And we're really talking with students to get them to understand that self identity, your self identity does not have to be your career. It can be part of it. But I am a career professional, but I'm also a mom. I'm also a health enthusiast. I'm also a data nerd. I mean, there's a lot of different things that are part of who I am that aren't solely related to career. And if we only explore career, we are missing that potential fire that's going to fuel you to get up every morning, to, you know, make a difference in your community, to make a difference with those that, yes, you're working with, but then also those that you live with, or, you know, those roommates, the family members. I think about those that are managing household responsibilities as well as academic and career exploration. And we can't ignore that and just assume that, well, we're just going to focus on career and everything else will land. We really have to encourage our students to start with self, and really explore both sides to be really a holistically developmental program.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I appreciate that. And y'all know we're going to talk about these 3 great resources. It's new year, new resources. That's our theme for our series here in January. And we definitely want to talk about the 3 amazing resources that the Career Center provides to all Mercerians. So we'll get to that. Steve, you want to hit this next one because I know you and I talked about just that assurance that we want to make sure students have.
Yeah, that the process is not just a couple of weeks or a couple of semesters or a couple of years. Self and career exploration is ongoing throughout life and career stages, and it's to compare another function in our office is to guide people through the resume building process.
Yes.
And we talk about this is not your resume for the job that you're applying for. This is your resume for life, and you're going to add to it. You're going to take away things from it, but it will serve you as you go through the different stages and work challenges.
Absolutely. So I think I love how you put that beside a resume because it's a process. We say that all the time about resumes, and y'all know that we get known around campus for being the resume people. So I just want to say right now, we certainly are experts at helping you hone in and message and develop your best resume. But this is one of the things we talk about. It too is a process. So I appreciate that word, and hopefully today's conversation will motivate you all to do some further exploration beyond this. But we've got some questions that the 3 of us came up with that we thought, hey, maybe we should just have a conversation with students more often. We appreciate the digital resources that we're going to talk to you a little bit about, but we also want to take time for that introspection, like Stephanie talked about. Steve, talk to us about these. How do you talk with the students about questions that help them ponder and do some self-discovery?
Well, I think that trying to get students and alumni to move beyond the surface about who are you. We sometimes struggle with the question, who are you, and what are you majoring in? Those are the two questions that oftentimes new students are asked. But when I'm asking about who are you, I'm wanting to know what motivates you. What is it that you have received throughout your life at this point in the way of guidance and what's gotten you to this point? It's like looking at your compass. Nobody uses a compass anymore, but it is a popular app on the iPhone.
Yes, indeed.
But where are you? And that goes into helping students move beyond the surface.
And I'll be honest with you, I remember someone saying to me years ago about my career values, and I honestly had no idea what that meant. Stephanie, you might relate to that. And strengths and skills, we don't generally walk around with all of these thoughts ready to come out. Do you have a thought?
No, I was just thinking, yeah, no, the first time someone asked me career values, I was like, nice coworkers. You don't really know, you don't know what you don't know until you go through the exercise, until you really sit down and think about it. And I think so many times with some of these questions, I'll say even in a traditional sense, we send 18-year-olds off to college, and the first question they get from their family is, well, what are you going to major in? Because we have this societal idea that major equals career. And I tell every single group and every single family I present to, I think it's absolutely absurd that we send students off to college and expect them to know what they want to do with the rest of their life. And so we see that these questions are incorporated sometimes in those entry level courses. Of course, because we're trying to win students over to a particular major. So what brings you to psychology? Why are you interested in neuroscience? Welcome to your first biology class. Is this the career path you're seeking? But then we send students down this journey once they've picked a major, so to say, and then we never ask them these questions again, assuming that just once they get set on that path that they know exactly what they want. And that's absolutely not the case. And so I encourage every student really sit down with these questions. As Dr. Brown said, where are you? Not necessarily always who are you, but where are you? What brought you here?
Mm.
What is the path that you're heading on? Are you still satisfied with the path that you selected a few semesters ago or a few years ago? Or do we need to revisit that? It's a constant process, rather than just a one-time process.
So I'm hearing a theme here about where are you? And that's not even one necessarily that we had typed in, but that's such a good question where you are. And then Steve's talking about the compass, and that makes me just have a vision of a map. And if we think about career path and career planning and all of the things that we talk about on our team, it would stand to reason that you've got to know where you are to help you know where you're going. And who you are is certainly a part of that, but where you are, let me just add that to this list here. I think that's important. Where are you at now? And then that could probably very well inform how ready am I for the career path I'm seeking. And I'm sure, Stephanie, when you contemplated a change 8 years ago, that you had to think, well, how ready am I for that change? How ready am I for that particular, maybe the job role that you had envisioned? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, at the time, I just knew that I needed a change. And, for contextual purposes, I had just recently, within, the past 4 years, had become a mom. And that definitely changed my perspective on after hours and weekend commitments, which I had a lot of in my previous role. And so I had to do some of that self-reflection and how that was my career was impacting myself. And I had to sit down and think about what did I value about my current role? What were the parts that, even though maybe I was super skilled in, I needed to relinquish, that they no longer fueled me. I was no longer fueled by that aspect. And, just as an example, one of the things that I can think of is crisis management. At that point, I was an excellent crisis manager, but it was something that no longer benefited me. And so I needed to find a role that was outside of that realm that didn't include that. And so I talked to a lot of professionals.
Mhm.
I took an evaluation of what were those skill sets that I really liked and I
Mm.
wanted to tap further into, and what were those areas I needed to relinquish that were no longer serving me as a professional and just as
Good.
a human being. So.
And here you're talking about skills and how you had developed a very sharp skill in crisis management. But I'm curious right now, would you have been able to answer the question, what is your best skill at that time? And would you have listed that as a best skill without that introspection? We don't always have those things come to mind so easily. Um, but just hearing you extract crisis management out of your previous experience, understanding how you had built that skill, and then saying, okay, this seems like a best skill for me, but it's not serving me well. Thank you for saying that. I think that's an important acknowledgement. Steve, what do you think about this topic about skills and readiness?
I think that the question, what is your best skill? What are your strengths? That to me is recognizing our potential. It's not designed to limit us, to say, this is my best skill, so it's going to define what I do, but it's going to say, this is your best skill so far. You could develop the skill further, and in that process, a new strength or a new experience might introduce another skill. But knowing that you don't necessarily have to start from scratch or disregard what all you've done up until this certain point in your life. Use that best skill.
Even if it's from your leisure experiences, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't have to come from things you've earned a paycheck at doing. So that's a good tip. The interest question here sparks my memory about a student I believe was majoring in business, who I'd served one time. And this individual was just coming to say, I don't really know what I want to do with my major. I feel very clear about my major. I'm not thinking really about changing it, but rather, what are some things that I can do? Because a business BBA degree would really, point me into a lot of destinations, right? But when we really talked about interest, that's the thing I really wanted to point out here, is what interests you matters. Pay attention to how you spend your free time. Pay attention to the blogs you read or the sites or the follows you have on social media, because those greatly inform things that you're interested in. And with the particular student that I have in mind, this individual was like a collector of electric guitars, had come from a family of musicians, and they had, I think, a little band at home in the family, and said that they played the guitar and really knew all of the makers of guitars and all of the nuances of each particular detail, which I cannot represent well here. But I was able to say, well, that's really that's a deep interest that you have really spent years investing in and learning. How can that interest be coupled with your business major to pursue something even in that industry or something relevant, right? And that I remember the moment that the light bulb came on for that individual with, aha, haven't thought to do that, right? So many times we think about our personal lives and the things we're interested in not being connected to career planning, but it certainly is. I'm loving this conversation. Let's see, we've got some resources we wanted to talk about today. These are really powerful tools that Mercer University and the Center for Career and Professional Development has invested in to help all Mercerians. So we have one called True Talent, and we can talk a little bit about that. I've got a slide on that. And one called What Can I Do with This Major, which is essentially a website that will direct you to, and another platform called Focus 2. Who has a favorite here they want to talk about that you use with students frequently? And I'll just dial up to that slide. let's see, what do we have next? True talent personality. We can talk about true talent. Steve, you want to talk about what that tool is and how it's been useful to you in working with students?
Sure. I enjoy this particular resource. It's based on the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and I've had a lot of experience with that. And what it does is it provides you with information based on how you respond to statements online, and it has 4 scales, and you look at each of the scales, and it's a combination of these 2 traits that you're given information on. And so introversion and extroversion, it's not introversion or extroversion. Everybody has tendencies in both of these qualities, but you're more comfortable using one over the other.
Yeah.
And this is important when you're looking at the path you want to follow. Do I want to pursue something that is going to really stretch me, or do I want to follow something that I'm going to be successful with in terms of my strength of that particular characteristic. So what it does is it provides the kinds of traits that particular characteristic has, and then it will guide you to career paths that are based on the combination of these strengths.
That's helpful for sure. And I know True Talent has 2 different assessments that's housed under that True Talent name, and we'll get to the second one in a minute. But this one is the personality assessment. Now, Steve, how long do you think it would take a student to complete this personality assessment?
It's probably between 20 and 30 minutes.
Okay. So that could be some time folks could set apart, if not to tackle the world, but to take 30 minutes, 30 minutes to complete the personality assessment. Now, as far as I know, students get the report instantly upon completing this, right, Steve? I see you
That's
nodding.
correct. We're ready to talk with you about your results if you want to be that engaged with it, to get someone that can help you dive a little deeper with it, but you get all the information as soon as you complete the assessment.
Now, will this tell me what career I should pursue?
No.
Tell me about that. Now, why would I do this, Steve, if it's not going to tell me what to go do?
We have this image of technology that if we put all of the data into the machine, it's going to spit out this one answer, and that will be the path that you should follow. And I don't know of any maybe a fortune cookie has that approach designed, but no, it's going to guide you to a variety of considerations that are based on your results.
I love that. So yes, to affirm that, I think it does a great job guiding you to some things to consider. No perfect answers. And Stephanie, tell us how students can access the True Talent Personality Assessment.
Absolutely. Any student or alumni can access the True Talent Personality Assessment through their Handshake account. And so currently enrolled students and recent alumni already have a Handshake account. It is there for them. It was created upon enrollment in the first day of classes and lives with that Mercerian for life. And so if they have graduated even recently, they can still access it. They would go into Handshake through the resources section, and the specific resource for True Talent is going to give them both the website to go to and the access code to get to this assessment so that they can start the process.
Okay, so you're going to need a code. Okay, so that's helpful. So just to sort of summarize that, I would go to my Handshake account and go to the Career Center, then go to resources and get the code. Then there's going to be a link there, and students can just click the link and establish an account. So there is a need to establish an account on this separate platform over to the side of Handshake called Human eSources. And that is a completely free account, and students just need to use their Mercer University student email address. And if you're an alum, we may need you to give us a call here in the office and let us guide you that way. There's a second assessment that True Talent offers us on intelligences, the multiple intelligences by Dr. Howard Gardner. And so Dr. Gardner had spoken about 9 intelligences. They're here on the screen, and you can see those, and we don't have to read all of those. But what I think is important about this one is that it's going to take how you learn best and what intelligence out of these 9 things are maybe more dominant for you as you are living life and working in a job and career, and help you tie that to career and pathways, as you can see on the screen. Again, to Steve's point, I don't think there's any magic answers here, but rather this is the self-exploration piece. I like the multiple intelligences assessment. That's an assessment that's been around for years. And as you can see here, and to what Stephanie just talked about, hey, you can access this free of charge right through your Handshake account too. Is that living in the same place, Stephanie?
Yes, both assessments and the access code live in the same exact place in Handshake.
I have to tell you, Steve, what you said about inviting students to come in, I want to hang there for just a minute, because you're going to get a report that's going to be very interactive. You are literally going to be able to click on all kinds of hyperlinks. It'll be better than Amazon, where it says shoppers like you might also like this. I mean, you're going to find yourself getting lost if you have time. And I do love that. But what I think is really invaluable is a conversation with a career practitioner. If you have time, I would encourage students to come in and make an appointment to say, can we go over these results together? Because I think sometimes in that conversation, there's some light shed on particular aspects of self that may be difficult for one to see on their own. And then and really also to have somebody in the office with you that's sort of echoing what you're learning about yourself, and asking that very purposeful question: how does this relate to my career choice and my career planning? Stephanie, I know that in Handshake students make appointments there. Is there a particular appointment that they might need to select to have that kind of debrief?
I think this one goes really well with our career decision making type of appointment where we have several different appointments, and at the end of the day, no appointment type is wrong. If you
Right.
accidentally click off, document assistance and you want to talk about this, we're going to be able to help you regardless. But I think this one would best fit with career decision making.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's talk about a second tool. This one's not really a platform. Stephanie, what do you think about the website? What can I do with this major?
I really love this website. I would almost challenge us though, instead of thinking, yes, the website is titled, "What can I do with this major?" But it's really, "What can I do with this career?"
Ah,
Because at a point, I'll use students that I work with that are in chemical commerce. For example, there is no chemical commerce major on this particular national website. This is a national resource that has a wonderful collection of degrees, but it's not necessarily Mercer specific. So you're going to see things on there that we don't have at Mercer. And then you're going to see things at Mercer that aren't on the website, and that's okay. So when I'm working with a Chem Com major, I'm really encouraging them to look at what is it about chemistry? What is it about business? What excited them? And so when we work through that, through this particular platform, I love the way that if you click in, I'm going to use psychology, it's on the screen. When you click into psychology, it's going to give you all the different focus areas of psychology. Do you want to go into research? Teaching? Are you looking on the clinical side? And then for each one of those focus areas, it breaks it down to potential employers, strategies for success. So if I'm a psychology student that wants to go into maybe the research end of things that I hadn't ever considered before, I can now look and say, oh, I didn't think about the fact that universities hire psychology researchers, or that maybe independent health departments
yeah.
do need psychology researchers, and it's going to give you a ton of information. It also links out to the ONET, or the Occupational Outlook Handbook, links, where you can see some national data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics about particular, career paths for success, regional salary ranges, expected skill sets, expected degrees. I mean, it's a really useful tool for anyone. It's not just someone who says, oh, I've got a biology degree, I don't know what to do with this biology degree. It's really, I tell my students all the time, use it to confirm your choices, use it to further explore your choices, and use it to learn what you don't know. And so it's a really, really cool resource to connect. They link out to professional associations, so you can learn more about the people who've been in the field for a while and where to find mentors and where to find jobs. It's a really cool, unique resource that is beneficial at any level of your career.
I love that particular use that you just mentioned with professional associations. I love this tool in my meetings with students and alum because, especially if you're career changing, you might not know the names of professional associations in the field. Or to your point earlier, if you're considering all of a sudden, as a result of this tool, the research area of psychology, I have no idea what the professional associations are attached to that kind of work. But what can I do with this major? We'll have a very robust list for you with hyperlinks to those association websites. And I highly encourage the students that I work with to go ahead and consider student memberships in at least one or two professional associations when the time is right. Of course, they might not want to throw their dues money out until they have some degree of clarity on their interest in that particular area. But we know having a professional association membership, attending conferences and things, that's a powerful part of resume marketability for your candidacy for what you're looking for. So one thing that I'm going to talk about real quick before we go off this slide is how this tool is accessed. Stephanie, tell me about that.
Yeah, so this, because it's a website that's hosted by another institution, this is the one tool that I will say that is not linked out of an individual's Handshake account. This tool must be accessed from our website, which is career.mercer.edu, as seen on the screen. And we have some links. If you want to get the direct link to it is career.mercer.edu/assessments, but you can also navigate our website to get there as well. And on that assessments page, there is a direct link to this national resource. And when you come from a mercer.edu webpage to that resource, it will recognize you as a Mercerian and give you access to this resource.
Okay, that's helpful. And I think we lost Steve, as I know he had a student appointment come in, but that's okay. We're going to keep this conversation going. I appreciate him so much. And he serves students who are clicking into that decision-making type of appointment. That's actually one of his best and most favorite parts of the day. So students who have any interest in self-exploration and career world of work exploration, sometimes we say, I'm going to tell you, Dr. Steve Brown is an invaluable resource. He loves to have that conversation. So I know that's what he's doing right now. Focus 2, let's talk about Focus 2. Now, I get super excited about Focus 2 because, and I'm just going to go ahead and reveal what it is that excites me, is because it has the capability of printing out PDF or a paper copy, an actual portfolio or career plan. It's really a self-guided career planning and education planning platform. These things that you see over here on the right, the work interest assessment, personality assessment, leisure assessment, values. Okay, there's that word values again, Stephanie. What are values? Well, let's take this assessment and find out, right? In other words, though, we should answer that question. We think values are the things that are important, the principles that guide your living. And that is especially important in career. So that sometimes we'll hear the phrase or say the phrase career values, and we might not delineate between life and career, but really, isn't it all the same? I don't know about you, but my career is a big part of my life, so it's all very interwoven.
Absolutely.
But the skills assessment is in here. So literally a student could spend time taking all 5 of these. I would think no more than 10 to 15 minutes on each. You can come in and out of the portal as frequently as you want. There's no timer, there's no limit to how many times you can look at these, or even how many times you can take them. You can start them over. Now, Stephanie, do all Mercer students have a Focus 2 account? And if so, how do they get to it?
So Focus 2 is very similar to True Talent in that it's a separate platform that students do have to create a login for. They can find the information again on Handshake in the resources section, and they'll go to the resource that is speaking about Focus 2, and it will give them some instructions on what website to visit, how to log in, even what email to use, so that Focus 2 recognizes that individual as a Mercerian and gives them appropriate access to this platform. So again, it's not something that students already have access to, but it is free for them to use.
Yeah.
They just have to initiate that access by going to the website and signing up.
All right, so there again, that's the same, living in the same place in Handshake. Go to the Career Center option on the top left, and then click Resources, and then come down to Focus 2, and the instructions are right there. And I'm going to go ahead and say I love those 3 questionnaires that are in this platform. These are 3 questionnaires, probably wouldn't even take 3 minutes each to fill these out, maybe 5 minutes. But especially, am I career ready? That speaks to the question that we had on the other slide at the very beginning of our conversation about, how ready am I for the thing that I'm seeking next? We speak a lot about career readiness around here, and we know that there's 8 competencies, career readiness competencies that employers are very, very knowledgeable about. They're highly seeking. And this little questionnaire here can greatly inform, where are you now? which again, we've already talked about how important that is. Knowing where you are now helps you figure out how to get where you're going.
Yeah.
So this is just one little deep dive that I think is important is the Holland Code. As far as I know, Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, the Holland Code can only be found in Focus 2. I'm not familiar with that being in any of the other resources we've talked
It
about.
is, yeah, it's not in any of the
Yeah.
other resources. And so just for some contextual purposes, for those that are not familiar with personality
you. Yes.
assessments, it's another type of personality assessment indicator like Myers-Briggs. So again, Myers-Briggs, you have a 4-digit code. In Holland, you end up with a 3-letter code. And so what I really like about both of these is that you can compare and contrast. So you might learn more about yourself from one or the other, but this specific part it's really cool to me that students have access to a number of different assessments to help them think through what greatly resonates with me.
I appreciate that. And also to add, the Holland Code is attached to our United States Department of Labor. Every single vocation has a Holland Code attached to it. And this little 3-letter code can be used so much to help you explore the world of work. And I'd be happy to walk alongside students in that. I know you would too. And of course, Steve Brown, and really anybody on our team. So if you're going to jump in Focus 2, be sure to take the work interest assessment and learn your Holland Code, and then take a look at these occupations that match your results. So this conversation is sort of wrapping up. Stephanie, I appreciate it. I hope this is helpful for anyone that's listening, but it's all about self-discovery plus exploration equals your path. We know this is what's going to inform you with making a good choice for yourself. But with that, what we probably really need to talk about out loud is how there is not just one right path for you. And there is no perfect path. And, you know, I heard a myth in a recent podcast I was listening to that said one of the myths of undergraduate students is that the job they take after graduation is their forever job. What do you think about that one?
Oh, I still laugh at that. Just because, you know, when I think through again, even if you're, you know, what is typically industry standard wise considered a traditional student, if you will, even though I don't think there's anything traditional about anyone's experience, and you're graduating at 22, 23 years old, and that first job, it's not going to be your forever job. And then I think about our post-traditional learners who already had a job before they came to
Right.
Mercer, who are seeking to pivot, seeking to change, seeking to encourage growth in their career. You are never stuck with one option. Even when and I use this all the time, that higher education is a very competitive landscape. From the moment you decide to engage with the process of applying, to sitting in a classroom with fellow peers. I can take 2 biology students who both want to go to med school, who both started at Mercer on the exact same day, and they're going to have 2 vastly different paths to get there. And both of them are valid and both of them are equally celebrated. And we get stuck where we compare ourselves. Oh, so-and-so graduated at the same time that I have, and look what they've already accomplished. And now I feel so lazy, or I feel so underperforming or underachieving. And we can't do that to ourselves because their journey is not your journey. And
Yes.
so I just always encourage everyone, you know, come talk to us. At the end of the day, I was talking with some students yesterday and I said, there's no wrong reason to come talk to us. You can literally sit across the table from us and be like, I don't know what I don't know, so help me know. And we'll start from ground 1 or, you know, ground 0, or, you know, we'll grow with you. If you already have some knowledge, we're going to grow with that. But if ever you get discouraged, don't let that discouragement bring you down. It's time to reassess. It's time to reevaluate. It's time to get someone like us on your team who can help you understand what your journey is and how you don't have to follow someone else's journey or even someone else's journey that was given to you by, maybe well-meaning family members who said, oh, you're so fit for this. You're going to do this with the rest of your life. Help get us, let us be in your corner and help encourage you.
I love well-meaning family members. I truly do. And I know everyone else does. But that's a good point too, to get an objective person who is very, very skilled and credentialed in this area to meet with. That's so helpful. I think about this, your path, your career path, and these phrases, planning, career planning. And it's worthy to say that students who are in a major or an academic program that I might call career specific, for example, nursing or teaching. There are some academic programs that just sort of naturally steer you to a particular path. But I would like to say out loud that even if you're in one of those programs, there are immense occupational options that are still on target for that particular field of study that might not be the quintessential thing.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I was talking with a student who's earning a Bachelor of Science in Education with our College of Education, who has decided that classroom teaching is not for them. That's okay, because a BS ED degree can be used in the industry or field of education in a multitude of ways that are going to exceed the classroom teacher job role.
Yeah.
So when we think about your career path, we're talking about these paths with you. I feel like our staff, our CCPD team, is really instrumental in leading those kind of conversations.
Absolutely.
I can tell how passionate you are about this topic too. All right, we got one more inspirational quote, and this one's a little bit more long, but it's actually the complete quote to the one we started with. And I love this. It says, your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking until you find it. Don't settle. This is speaking to that process Steve was talking about earlier. How does this strike you?
Like I said when we were talking earlier, I love the fact, because I'm able now, several years into my professional working, experiences, to reflect on really the career decision I've made. So, I've got a little bit of a different perspective of, that post perspective where I can say, wow, I can see where I was doing some of this without even realizing it. And so what I want to challenge our listeners is just to say, we talked earlier about exploration, and that don't settle. And if you don't know, keep exploring. I want to challenge you to explore, but I also want to challenge you in that loving the work you do doesn't mean you're going to love every task you have to do for that job. I love my job. There's still parts of the day where I'm like, oh, groan, I have to do that, but that doesn't take away my love for the work that I do.
That's so good.
And so I want to challenge our Mercerians to explore. But understand, if you get to that one point of exploration where you're loving everything and you're like, but I really hate the paperwork part of this job, that's natural and that's okay. Are you loving what you are doing? Is it continuing to get better and better? Again, not every day is going to beat the last, but the general trend should be upward. And if the general trend isn't upward, then maybe you haven't found it yet. But let us help you explore. So.
And to Steve's point earlier, man, I can't say this loud enough. Test the waters of many things. That happenstance part of just being approached with an opportunity. It could be a part-time job opportunity, a full-time job, an internship, a service learning project. I know our Mercer days are so critical in helping students get out in the community. There are many ways to quote, test the waters. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't, we also get this idea that the only way to officially test the waters is through a paid role. And that's absolutely not it either. I have seen many a job seeker start with volunteering, start with dipping their toes somewhere. Well, I see that there's a community event coming up and something that I like, and maybe I'll just attend the event. And so there are so many different ways to explore. If you don't have the privilege or the opportunity to go do a full-blown internship or fellowship, well, then let's talk about different ways to explore that are conducive to the time frame that you have and the specific situation that you're bringing to the table. So keep in mind, it doesn't have to just be limited to an internship. There's informational interviews, there's community events, we've got volunteering. There's so many different ways that you really can engage in a specific career field to determine if you're on the right track and
Yes.
if you should dig deeper.
There's not one perfect path. So this is just our little reminder to follow us in our social media streams, because we have a lot of content like this that we put out all the time, not only about exploration, but about events, campus recruiting, employers that are attending campus, about career readiness competency. So I highly suggest our listeners follow us at Mercer CCPD on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And on YouTube, we have lots of recorded webinars and presentations. So it winds up being this wonderful on-demand source for various topics. But I am so pleased to say that this New Year, New Resources Friday series has 2 more Fridays ahead. And you naturally already brought up the next one with gain experience when
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
talking about trying things. So, you said the word internship, and my mind instantly went to micro internship. And I bet a lot of people haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah.
And look at what this next topic is. Tell me about next Friday.
I am super excited to lead a conversation about gaining experience. We talk with our candidates about the fact that you have to stand out in the job market. While we've got a certain situation where it might be a job seeker's market, it still doesn't mean that there's not great competition out there. Or you might be in a field where, the jobs are scarce and you've really, really got to stand out. And so we're going to talk about those different ways to gain experience. Specifically, we're going to talk about some platforms because that is our New Year, New Resources.
Can we do a little spoiler here with Parker Dewey?
Yeah,
And my
absolutely.
okay, tell me, what's Parker Dewey mostly about?
Parker Dewey is a platform that's actually been around for quite a while, but gained some great popularity during the pandemic. When people were seeing that their experiences that they had planned on were being canceled. And so Parker Dewey to the rescue, they said, but it doesn't have to be a full-blown experience. Maybe you can, gain some great skill sets or demonstrate your great skill set through a 10, 20, maybe 40-hour experience with a company. And so these are paid opportunities for
Yay.
individuals to engage with a company that is trying to solve a real world problem. And so a company might say, we anticipate that this problem is going to take about 20 hours of work, and they put it on the platform. We're looking for someone with this skills who can perform the following tasks, and you apply to these opportunities. And of course, then they, just like a regular job, they pick candidates, the ultimate successful candidate to do these projects. But these are smaller than a traditional internship, I will say.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them small in impact or small in effort, but they are not as lengthy as a traditional 10 to 16 week internship. Most of them are somewhere between 10 to 40 hours of work that you get paid for. And then it makes a great addition to your resume and also gives you some inside knowledge of working with that company, and could be a great way to test the waters to figure out if that's the right
Love
company or
that.
the right field for you.
Absolutely. There it is. Parker Dewey and micro internships coming up next Friday at 10 a.m. We'll, of course, record it and put it on the YouTube channel. And then the following Friday, the 26th of January, market your experiences. What's that one going to be all about?
That one, we're going to be looking at, like, once you have all of these experiences, they do you absolutely no good if you don't know how to market them, right? If you don't position them right on your documents, if you don't speak about them right in an interview, they're not going to benefit you in the long-term process. So we're going to be walking through our newest resource at the university, which is JobScan, which helps individuals customize their resume for a particular job of interest. So how do we speak about that micro internship, full-blown internship or experience that we've had on our document, or that we've had in our experience? How do we speak about that on our document so that it catches a recruiter's eye? And how do we make sure we're using the language that the company's looking for? So that's going to be a really fun one, where we're going to look at the customization of your documents to make you a more competitive candidate.
Well, it's going to be very exciting because, I know that we have our Spring Career Expo coming up in February. I don't have a slide on that just here today, but on February 21st at our Macon campus will be our premier career expo for spring semester. We expect approximately 90 to 100 employers. And those are employers that are very purposefully sought out. Either we sought them out or they sought us out, but providing numerous high quality opportunities to Mercerians for internships, part-time jobs, and full-time jobs. So I hope everyone will mark their calendar for the 21st of February. I do know we've got a preparation workshop ahead of that too. So look for that announcement. As always, stay tuned to Handshake and those events in there. And anything to add about that or anything to close us at this point?
No, I just added specifically on the preparation and just in anything in networking with any of this process. Just remember that you never have to go at it alone. When I'm working with Mercerians, I always remind them, specifically while they're enrolled, but even for our alumni, that their job while they're here has been to learn their career field. My job has been, to stay abreast of hiring trends and the evolution of networking, and you come to us to seek those skills so that you don't have to go at it alone. So when it comes, to the Career Expo, if that makes you nervous, if you're not the person that is energized by being in a room with that many people, come to our Expo Prep webinar and really learn about what it means to engage. That's also going to be a live event that's going to be at our Henry County campus for students that are enrolled there, but it's going to be equally available virtually. But, again, don't go at any of this alone. If the exploration piece makes you nervous, come to us. If the networking piece makes you nervous, come to us. Your job is to learn your field, and our job is to help you launch into that field or advance. So we're here to help.
As always, the Center for Career and Professional Development aspires to equip and empower Mercerians in the lifelong journey of career development. So this is a great conversation. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Bye.